All right, guys. So today we are going to be talking about an interesting topic, and I think this video is going to surprise a lot of you guys. And I want to map out kind of what my goal as a physical therapist is for my patients, and helping patients realize what their ultimate goals are as well. So a lot of times people come to me for pain relief. The thing is, that's not really what they're coming in for, nor is it what I want to accomplish for them as well. And so this graphic kind of maps out the patient's journey and what you might be going through as well currently, whether you're having pain or not. So, what ultimately brings a patient in to see me? It's usually because they're experiencing pain or they're noticing some imbalances. So, I have a lot of patients that will come in and see me and the other physical therapist, and they're in quite a bit of pain. And I ask them, "What are your goals, and what do you ultimately want to help me to help you accomplish?" And like, I really just want to get this pain rid of this pain. I'm like, okay, great, we can do that. But let's take this a little bit step further. How is this impacting your life? How is this pain? What is this pain limiting you from doing? And usually, like for example, people with knee pain are like, well, it hurts when I'm sitting for long periods of time, or it hurts going up and down stairs, or it hurts with running, or I can't squat, or I can't do lunges. And I'm like, okay, well, how's that impacting you? Like, well, I can't work out the way that I want to. And I'm like, well, why do you enjoy working out? And I'm like, well, it's my way to get stress relief, and it's my way to I'm trying to lose weight, or I'm trying to just get in better health, but this pain's getting in the way of that, right? And I'm like, okay, great. So how about let's aim for, I'm going to go over this graphic here in just a second because it ties right into what I'm talking about. Is why don't we, instead of aiming for pain relief, because that's easy to be honest, like that's pretty easy to get rid of pain. The hard part is actually getting people back and bought in to aiming higher than that. They're so focused on the pain, and people are so focused on the pain that, well, why don't we try and get you back to the squatting? Why don't we try and get you back to running? That should be the ultimate goals. And I ask my patients, I'm like, is that something you want to get to? They're like, yeah, absolutely. That's really, to be honest, more important to me than actually getting the pain relief. And I'm like, well, the pain relief is going to be part of the process. But my goal isn't just to get you pain relief. My goal as a physical therapist is to get you back to running, get you back to working out, getting you back to your healthy lifestyle. And even beyond that, a lot of patients, when they're done with physical therapy with us, is they continue to work with us on a monthly basis to better themselves so they can look and feel better, so they can continue to work out, max out on deadlifts or max out on their squat, and be able to lift even heavier weights than they've ever been before and continue to make progress with their health goals. Or if a lot of times patients are like, well, I guess I'd like to, if they're having knee pain and they can't run, they're like, well, I'd like to get back to running a mile. I'm like, okay, why don't we, is that all you want to stop at? Or what's your ultimate goal? Like, if I could snap my fingers and ask you, what your ideal body would be and what you'd be able to do, what would that look like? And they're like, well, I'd love to run a half marathon. I'm like, okay, great. Let's put that is our number one goal, for you to run a half marathon. Like, that'd be great. But I've been dealing with this pain for so long that I really don't know if I'm ever going to I'd be really just happy with running a mile. Like, okay, great. We're going to put the short term goal for the mile, but our long term goal is to run a half marathon. And even when people are out of pain and the imbalance is corrected, they continue to work with us afterwards on a monthly basis to check back in, make sure that this injury doesn't come back, and making sure that their body continues to operate and work the way that they want to, and ultimately achieve higher goals than they ever thought imaginable. Okay. So a lot of times people too, when they are going through PT with us, is they get to this point, usually after 2 or 3 sessions, patients on average, their pain is decreased by about 75% just after 2 or 3 visits. And usually by the approach their fourth or fifth visit, they're like completely out of pain. And what they want to do is, and we see this all the time, is like, well, I'm feeling pretty good. I think I'm going to be done with physical therapy. And the problem with that is that they're just barely beyond that pain threshold. So I want to show this diagram to kind of drive home why pain relief shouldn't be your goal. And just because you're out of pain doesn't mean you're out of the woods quite yet. Okay. So what I want to start out with is, hopefully you guys can see my cursor here. So we have in the blue here, we have imbalances. Then we also have this threshold. Okay, this red line here is your threshold where people usually start having pain. But what led up to that is actually these imbalances that they had neglected or did not know were happening with their body. And over time, it compounded. And then finally, there's a straw that broke the camel's back. What I mean by that is there was one thing that they've been doing over and over again that was leading up to this threshold where they start experiencing pain. So they went through, it could be years, it could be months, it could just be weeks. But they have been, let's say, doing squats incorrectly, or their running mechanics were off. And even though they were able to get away with it, time after time, this compounded and built up, and over time there was issues that became present. Okay, and they started having pain. And a lot of times people are like, oh, well, it's when I had pain that there was actually a problem. No, it started long before that. It started with your poor running mechanics. It started with your poor squat movements, or doing exercises incorrectly that led up to that threshold that you're experiencing pain. So those signs and imbalances compounded, and then a lot of times patients reach that threshold where they start having pain. Some people wait a week, so they might week or two to get help. They're not too far away from that threshold of getting over to the other side where they're not having pain. Some people wait months, years, even decades, and they might be longer or further along in that process, where they've neglected that pain and just dealt with it. And so it takes even longer to get them past that threshold of not having pain. So a lot of times when patients are on their fourth or fifth visit, they're out of that pain and they are just right past that threshold of pain. Okay. But it's not going to take much for them to get pushed right back over into pain. So at Pro+Kinetix, we have a 3-step process of how physical therapy works with us. We have the first phase is we want to decrease the pain that you're experiencing. That's just phase 1. Phase 2 is to correct these signs and these imbalances. And then phase 3, which I haven't talked about, is our Mount Do More. Okay, Mount Do More. That is helping you guys achieve your best self. What does that look like? It's different for everybody, and it's tailored to whatever is a high priority for you guys as patients and what you want to get back to. Like I mentioned earlier, this could be getting back to running, getting back to doing a 10K, a half marathon or a marathon, or being able to deadlift over 100 pounds, or be able to squat over 50 pounds, or be able to walk without pain, or be able to play with their kids or their grandchildren pain free. That's what sits atop the Mount Do More, and that is what really truly is my goal, as well as the other goals of Dr. Neiman, Dr. Collin, the other physical therapists, is to get you back to that. It's not to get you out of pain. The pain is part of the process. Getting you out of pain is part of the process. There may be a lot of other practitioners like physical therapists, chiropractors, and acupuncturists that just focus on pain and getting people out of pain. Well, the thing is, that's really only phase 1 of phase 3 for us, right? We want to aim higher. And that's what you guys should hold for yourself, your same standards for yourself too, is especially when people have been dealing with pain for so long, they really cut themselves short and don't achieve as much as they really actually could with the right mindset. Okay. And really a lot of the mindset or the physical therapy is actually mindset training and getting people to realize how strong and resilient their bodies actually are, and how capable they are of achieving goals that they never thought even possible. Okay. So I want to tell a story of a patient of mine it was about 6 or 7 months ago. So she used to be big into weightlifting and CrossFit and strength training. But when the gyms closed because of COVID, she wasn't able to work out and do strength training the way that she wanted to. So she started reverting back. She started to take up running. And what happened is she wasn't even able to ramp up into, after I think it was like 2 or 3 weeks, she started having pain once she started picking up running. And she was never able to get past running 3 miles without pain. And so she contacted me and we set up an evaluation. And my first question was, what are your goals and what would a successful outcome look like for you? And they're like, well, I'd just like to get rid of this pain. I'd really like to not be able to not experience this pain and not have it bog me down throughout the day. I'm like, okay, great. What is another goal, some other goals that you have? And they're like, well, it's really just that. I'm like, well, you said that you were pretty active and you were used to do a lot of strength training and you were doing running. Do you want to get back to running? And they're like, yeah, well, I mean, it just feels like the running is so hard on my body and I just don't know if I can do that, or if it's even possible for my body. And I hear this all the time. And she's like, yeah, for example, I just couldn't get, from life me, I couldn't get past running 3 miles without pain. I'd love to get back. I'd love to be able to cross that threshold of running 3 miles without, or pain free. I'm like, okay, good. Now we're getting somewhere. And I'm like, okay, if you could have the perfect body and be able to do whatever you wanted to, what would you be doing? And they're like, well, there's a couple of people I know that are doing virtual half marathons. And she actually just had a friend that did like a virtual 10K a couple of weekends before that. And she's like, my ideal goal is I'd love to get to be able to do a virtual half marathon or a half marathon when that time, or in-person half marathon when that time comes. But I really just don't think that's possible. I'm like, okay, how about this? Our short-term goal is to get you back to running past 3 miles, and our long-term goal is to get you to that Mount Dumore, which is getting you to do that half marathon, okay, virtual. And so we went through the certain processes. After, again, she didn't wait too long to come and see me, so wasn't too far past that threshold of pain. And so I think it was after like two visits, her pain was like 90% gone, and after that third visit, she was completely pain-free. And so we started progressing back into running after that very first visit. We started progressing back into that, very, very light. And over time, we kept increasing. And by her fourth or fifth visit, she had met her short-term goal of running 3 miles pain-free. Okay. And she's like, holy crap. I'm like, why don't we keep going? Why don't we keep going with this? She's like, I'm like, do you think you can get now that you're seeing results and that you were able to meet that short-term goal in less than 6 weeks and just 5 or 6 visits? Do you feel like you can meet that goal of being able to do that half marathon? And she's like, I actually think I can. And so we kept going at it. We kept going at it. And after her 10th visit, she was doing really, really, really well. She was running pain-free and we're really pushing it. And so she kept going on. So instead of usually patients come and see us on a weekly basis. After her 10th visit, I wanted to wean her off of physical therapy and start getting her independence back. And so we pushed visits out to 2 weeks, and we pushed it out to, I saw her a couple times at every other week, and she kept doing great, and then pushed her out to doing once a month. And just 2 months ago, she did her first half marathon, pain-free, and just killed it. She's like, I had a little bit of soreness, like muscle soreness, but it's good soreness. And so that's like a perfect example of somebody accomplishing what they never thought possible. When they first came in, their goal was just pain relief. And she's like, oh my gosh, when she called me afterwards, and she's like, I can't believe that my goal was just pain relief. I can't believe if I would have just settled for pain relief, where I'd be at right now. I'm like, yeah, it's kind of scary, you know? And she's like, I'm so glad that I just didn't stop after getting out of pain, right? We corrected her running mechanics. We corrected her imbalances and got her way beyond that threshold, corrected those signs and imbalances, and got her up to her Mount Dumore. Okay. Our goal is not pain relief. Maybe for some other physical therapists and practitioners, that's really not. It's really setting the bar really low, in my opinion. Okay. You should be aiming, practitioners as well as patients should be aiming so much higher than that. Okay, so don't settle. Main thing is I want you guys to take away from this is pain relief is part of the process. Don't sell yourself short. Correct those, get out of that pain, then go push it more and correct the actual imbalances and the root problem of all this. And then don't just settle there by correcting the imbalances. Why don't you get stronger and push yourself to look, feel, and function and perform better than you ever have in the past? Okay, because you can do that. You just need the right treatment, the right guidance, and somebody that has a track record for helping you get there. Okay, so hopefully this kind of maps out like what the patient lifestyle cycle and what somebody would go through, what people go through as they go on through physical therapy with us and beyond. Okay, so hopefully you guys found this beneficial, and hopefully it surprised some of you guys that pain relief isn't the goal here for us at Pro+Kinetix, and it's not my goal. It's so much more than that, and I hope that you guys also strive for something more than just pain relief and actually getting to your best self and looking and feeling and function and performing how you guys have always wanted to and what you dreamed of. So if you guys have any questions about this, don't hesitate to let me know. But I hope you guys found this helpful and beneficial.